Good evening, everyone. Myself, Dr. Yamini Ramesh, and I welcome you on behalf of Homeopathy Junction and Asha Homeopathic Academy. Today, our topic is homeopathic management of migraine with case example. And as a speaker, we have with us Dr. Yashika Arora. I want to introduce Dr. Yashika Arora. Dr. Yashika is from Delhi. She is a speaker at various platforms. She has written many articles in the magazines and journals like Dare, The Homeopathic Heritage, Homeo Miracle, Homeopathic Plus, Homeo Drug Shots, NHMC Magazine, Vital Informer, Homeo Reader Facebook page, and many more. I am naming just few. She is also a CCRH Scholarship Awardee in 2015 and 16. Her project was titled The Effect of Homeopathic Medicine in the Treatment of Alopecia areata. She is also an achiever of essay writing competition organized by IIHP in 2015 and 2018. She has got the Appreciation Award by Board of Homeopathic System of Medicine, Delhi in 2018. She won the Homeopathic Icon Award by Delhi Homeopathy Federation in 2019. And she also got Chikitsa Seva Ratna Award by Bharatiya Homeopathic Panel. She's a young and dynamic homeopath. She's also a contributing author of Textbook of Obstetrics and Neonatology with Homeopathic Therapeutics by Dr. Trupti Bhamre. So today she will be sharing her experience with cases of migraine. We are very happy to have you, Dr. Yashika. Thank you so much for accepting this invite very readily. We are very happy that you are here to share your cases. Thanks a lot.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for such a warm welcome and an introduction. I'm overwhelmed. Well, I've done nothing yet in my life, and I only have a journey of last 3 years. That is just a beginning. I hope I can do something for better for homeopathy. So I'm very thankful to Homeopathy Junction as well as Asha Homeopathic Academy, Dr. Vaibhav, Dr. Yamini, and everybody who's involved. With such a good platform you guys are working upon and keeping updated everybody about all the webinars all over happening all over the world. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present my views on migraine
Thanks
and
a
the
lot.
homeopathic
It's a
management along
sheer
with the.
pleasure to have you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. And I have known you as a very sweet person always and being so supportive. Thank you so much, ma'am. So I should begin my presentation. If you want to guide the audience, I think you had to guide the audience for
Yeah.
like 40 minutes. Yeah.
Yes.
So please.
So there is one condition, guys, that we have the limit of 40 minutes. So around 6:35 or 6:36, this meeting will end. Before that, I will write a message in the chat box. I won't interrupt. So once this meeting ends, you have to join this with the same link. So we will continue the same meeting from the same link. So don't forget to join that again. I will also write down the message for that. Okay. And you can take over, Dr. Yashika. I'll
Thank
mute
you so
myself.
much, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I want to wish everybody a very happy International Yoga Day and happy Father's Day to each one of you who is a father actually. And I also want to wish you World Music Day. Today is World Music Day again. So I think we have gathered here on a very special occasion. So let's just begin the session. I will share my screen. Ma'am, I just wanted to request you to please keep the presentation open. Like I have mailed you the presentation. If there is any issue in between.
Yeah, sure.
Hello.
So you want me to also open my PPT which you have sent
No,
me?
you just keep the presentation open on your screen. If there is some instability or technical issue, so please so that you can run the presentation.
No problem. Yes, I will do that.
Thank you so much. Now I think I should start. Before starting about the migraine or the headache, I just want to gist you out in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, what is actually migraine when a patient comes to you of migraine. So how you need to identify that it's actually a case of normal headache or actually a case of migraine. So I've just differentiated it in short that normally, usually when pain in head occurs, there are many patients, there are many people who are suffering from daily headache or whatever pain in head at many occasions. So when you talk about migraine, that has some specialities, like usually the migraine, whenever a patient is suffering from migraine, the pain is localized on an area that happens again and again. There is periodicity, and one-sided headache may be there, or left-sided or right-sided, or occipital region, or some other features. Plus, uh, usually migraine also affects the vision. They may cause or there is an aura which is being created. Eyes are become very sensitive to light. They cannot bear light or any sort of you can say tube lights, or you can say sunlights. And usually you migraine patients have heightened sense of smell. So the smell the smell and the nose become very acute, so they can sense the smell as soon as compared to a normal person. As well as when a patient is suffering from migraine, he gets no relief from the painkillers. Whatever painkillers he have, or whatever he's suffering from migraine. So if the person is taking regular painkillers as well, that won't relieve. Along with that, usually migraine begins with may begin with an aura or without an aura. Plus, it affects the GIT system also, and the patient may complain of nausea, vomiting along. So yes, these are some of the specific features which you must note while you're dealing with a case of headache, whether it's a normal headache or a migraine. So usually when the patient is coming with with sinusitis, he's having sinusitis. So the pain may be there in the brow bone, or if you can see it in the cheekbones. The patient may complain of headache and headache along with running nose, or you can say other features also. The pain may be in the forehead. When you have a cluster headache has a periodicity. It happens once that is a cycle it maintains, and that is only a one-sided headache, cluster headache, and it may have pain in and around around only one eye. Like one side would be affected, and periodicity is marked in cluster headaches. When you talk about tension headaches, usually there is a band-like sensation, normal pain, normal tension headache if there is occurring because of any stress, because of any tension, and the head, it feels like there is a band which is squeezing the head, around the head. And when you talk about migraine, so migraine is associated with, along with pain in head, and it may be associated with nausea, visual disturbances, visual changes, or many other features which we'll study further while dealing with the case. Usually migraine is more the people who have insomnia or lack of sleep, stress, anxiety, or regular use of caffeine, or excessive use of coffee and etc. They are taking caffeine, they are taking, or they skip meals. There is somewhat indigestion issue, or you can say the GIT system is not is being deviated, so that can also trigger migraine. And any sort of physical exertion also trigger migraines. So what are the actual premonitory phase when a patient comes to you with a complaint of migraine? He usually may complain of pain in head, obviously, but then he may have sensitivity to light, sound, smell, and he may also complain, he or she may also complain that she's having mood changes which are not explained, like there is no reason, but her mood swings occur, and there is stiffness of neck. There may be frequent yawning, sleepiness, and usually the patient have food cravings or constipation, diarrhea. So how it begins, the migraine attack, hello, how it begins. So we'll just study how it begins. We have first of all the prodrome stage. When you talk about the prodrome stage of migraine, the patient may complain of irritability, depression, increased need to urinate, food cravings, very much sensitive to light, sounds, and usually there may be concentration problems, muscle stiffness, weakness, fatigue, nausea, and very much difficulty in speaking, reading, sleeping. So such complaints if the patient is telling you, then you may suspect migraine. And usually when migraine occurs, there may be aura along with the migraine, which stays for around 5 to 60 minutes. That is constituting visual disturbances. There may be temporary loss of sight. The patient may not be able to see. And when you talk about numbness, tingling, there may be, the aura may include all these features, somewhat visual disturbances, and numbness, tingling may be there. And when you talk about actual headache stage, which is which can variate from 4 hours to the 72 hours, the headache may be throbbing type, busting type, any sort of headache, boring type. The patient may feel, but mainly the headache of migraine is throbbing, pulsating. So one must note. Plus, there may be burning in chest, nausea, vomiting. There may be giddiness, weakness in the patient. He may have lack of sleep, insomnia, very much sensitive to light. Usually the patient of migraine, if you say, normally the patient of migraines complain that whenever they're on the light or whenever they are exposed to the light, they have more complaints. So this aggravate their complaints. They may have neck pain, or there may be stiffness of the neck. So this is the phase when you talk about headache. And when the post-drome stage, when they're at the end, so 24 to 48 hours of that stage, so patient may have depressed mood, euphoric mood. There may be lack of comprehension, concentration. So this is how migraine you can identify when a patient comes to you and complains about such problems. Now we'll just study few of the remedies, the basic remedies, as the topic is with the homeopathic management of migraine. So I have listed few of the main remedies which usually we find common while practicing or during clinical practice. So first remedy, and the most important remedy which maximum people use for headache cases and migraine cases, that is belladonna. Belladonna has a violent type of headache. There may be mainly on the right side, and that is worse by light. There may be mania in the patient. Violent delirium may be there. The patient may get aggravated with noise, lying down, and he is usually better by pressure. So when you you should remember that patients who are having ill effects of colds or having haircut or any hair issues, so you can think of belladonna. When you talk about other main remedies, there is one more important remedy, that is iris versicolor. So this is a very good remedy which in fact, in my practice have also used very much, and I've given good results. So when there is intense migraine, with usually the vision is disturbed, the objects become blurred, and then there is the migraine usually reaches to the face and the teeth. The pain is over the cheeks also, and teeth in the teeth also of that side, just the affected side. And there may be burning feeling in the throat, stomach. There may be nausea, there may be vomiting, and the patient is usually worse when he's at the rest stage, just like Rustox. So yes, this is also a good remedy which can be used for migraine cases. When you talk about natrum mur, is again a remedy which we use if patient is suffering from ailments, chronic headache is there, chronic migraine is there, and the suffering was usually because of the ailments from grief or emotional upsets. And usually when the patient is worse from heat and sun, so then you can use natrum carb and natrum muraticum. So these are both two good remedies which one must remember about when you are dealing with cases of headache, when there are chronic effects of summer or chronic effects of heat. So you can use natrum mur or natrum carb. And in fact, Nux vomica sanguinaria is again a very good remedy, which is a very, very common remedy being used for right-sided migraines. American sick headache is the symptom of, which is given in Allen's as well for sanguinaria. So there may be right-sided headache. There may be tension in the neck, which is being extended to the forehead, and there is bursting feeling in the eye when you talk about this thing. So the headache would come from behind to the forehead, right sided, and usually it will settle down over the eye. So one must remember sanguinaria for this. And when you talk about left-sided migraine, similar features like coming from the occiput to the to left side of the forehead and then affecting the left eye is a very we use Silesia for the same, and that's a very great remedy. Silesia again for the for chilly patients who are having right-sided headache. Right-sided headache. When you talk about left-sided headache, usually you prescribe sepia. This you can compare. Sepia, Spigelia are good remedies for left-sided headache. And when you talk about sanguinaria and Silesia, they are good for right-sided migraines. So these are few of the good remedies which we can discuss further also, and we'll be discussing in the coming lecture. So one must remember these are few of the common remedies. Nux vomica is also very good when you use when you are dealing with cases of migraine. All depends on the totality of symptoms which you are getting. Ignatia again. Briny also is a very good remedy. Rustox as well. So you can suspect all these remedies when you are dealing with the case of migraines. Simicifuga actia erythematosa is again a very good remedy for throbbing pains, and usually when the headaches are associated with menstrual disturbances, menstrual period, during menstrual period. So you should remember Simicifuga as well for females, especially when you're dealing with migraine cases. Gelsemium, Glo9, again very great remedies. Glo9 is for bursting headache, as if the head would burst out. There is fullness of head, and there is sudden headache after haircuts, heat of the sun in Glo9 as well as Gelsemium. So one must note all these features when you're dealing with homeopathic remedies. Lachesis again, cyclamen again. There may be left-sided migraine. For if you have the totality is matching of lachesis, so you can think of lachesis in left-sided migraine. So yes, now we will study the main thing that is actually that will actually help you out with the dealing of the case. So I'll just share one of the case taking formats before. So I will just share along with this case taking format, which I would like to, which I follow. Suppose the patient is coming before beginning the case study. I just want to gist you out how you need to take the case when you're dealing with a patient of migraine. So whenever patient comes to you, whenever he's coming to your clinic or whatever the reason may be, so you must know the way of entering while he's sitting in your clinic, how he enters your room. One must note when you are dealing with any of the case, this is a common thing. You should note the expressions of the patient, how he is greeting you, as well as how he's coming to your clinic. Preliminary data is obviously important when you are dealing with the complaints of migraine and headache. So usually what you do is you need to you need to know about the presenting complaints. See, if first of all, when you deal with the case, you should know how the complaint started, whatever pain he is having. You should never ask direct leading questions, and you should note that the patient should speak as much he wants to speak for the first time. So just give him what is happening. You ask the patient what is happening with you. He or she'll tell you that I'm having pain in head, pain in this region, pain in that. So how it started, you need to ask him how was the onset. Is it sudden? Is it gradual that you're suffering from long? How long is the pain? And when you are dealing with the migraine, especially, you should ask the patient which side is affecting you. What are the modalities? What is the location of actually pain? What are the modalities? So you must note all these things when you are dealing with the case first before. So now we'll note how what was the case. Then we'll discuss one by one further things. So this was a patient of 32-year-old female which came to me around a year back. So she was suffering from recurrent attacks of severe pain in the right side, usually in the right side of the head, as well as on the left side. Mainly, she was complaining that the pain was mainly in the occipital region, and usually it usually radiated to right side, left side, and right side. So the main complaint which she complained was that pain is in the occipital region, which usually comes over the eye, and there is great pain which occurs through the eyes. Mainly the left eye was affected, and then there was dizziness along with this pain. Usually she used to faint sometimes even, and this frequency was daily since 2 years. So she was so much disturbed after taking so many treatments. She was saying that usually when she wake up in the morning, she's totally exhausted, and then the pain starts, and then pain aggravates for the whole day, and she's aggravated always. So she's having this complaint recurrent and mainly in the daily frequency. So you should note daily frequency, the onset of the headache, and how it started. You should ask them what is the location of this what is the location of the headache, and what is the sensation which she or he is suffering, and what are the concomitants which are happening along with headache. So when I was asking her ki what sort of headache you are having, matlab, what is the feeling when you have pain in head, so how do you feel? She used to say that there is so much congestion in my head, or whenever there is pain in head, I feel so congested, and the location is usually in the occipital region. There is so much throbbing on the throbbing sensation, throbbing pain in the head and the occipital region mainly. And she usually faints or have dizziness along with the dullness of mind when she is having this episode of headache. And in fact she cannot bear the smell of food, she cannot bear light, she cannot bear noise, she cannot bear any sort of stress or anger or irritability or anybody shouting on her, or whenever she is empty stomach, all these things used to aggravate her problems. So she was asked about what all happens along with the headache, what all happens along with the headache. So when she was telling, she said ki, along with the headache, usually I suffer from watering of eyes as well as nausea and vomiting. But then she was asked when are the what are the aggravating factors or what are the ameliorating factors. Matlab, when is your pain increased, when your pain decreases, how do you get relief? These are some of the questions when you ask when the patient is done. You need to ask in order to complete the case taking of yours while taking the history of presenting complaints. So you must know, you must ask the patient how and when does the pain start, when does the pain ameliorates, when does the patient gets relief. So the patient told me that she is usually aggravated in the morning, early morning, whenever she get up, and whenever she tries to move, she gets aggravation. Then the aggravation is also whenever she moves or go upstairs, or there is light, or she turns her head, or there is warmth in the room. So or there is sudden change of weather, and usually from thinking, overthinking. Whenever she was overthinking or mental exertion is there, or any sort of exertion, in fact physical exertion is also there, usually it used to aggravate. But then she told me a marked thing that whenever she used to exert herself for the continuous way, so continuously when she's exerting herself, so she gets relief. Plus whenever she bound a tight bandage around her head, so that also relieves her. Though this was the features which was being taken into consideration, and this was the gist of this case. So what happened was the treatment, whenever when she was also asked whatever treatment she's taking, so she said she doesn't get relief with any treatment. She has to take many heavy painkillers during the acute episode of migraine, and nothing relieves her. She has tried naturopathy, she has tried ayurvedic, she's tried allopathic, nothing is being relieved. One of the past history, what she complained was that she is having gastritis since 4 years. She was having GIT complaints also, and sometimes constipation was there. So she was having recurrent constipation every other day. She told me that in every 1 to 2 weeks she suffered from constipation, and there was whenever there was empty feeling, maximum time she used to feel empty feeling in the stomach, as if, and she has desire to eat and eat. So because she used to feel better when she used to eat. there was a desire for pickles and lemons, what she told, and she could not tolerate milk because it would used to aggravate her acidity, or there was complaints which led to gas problems when she used to have milk. There was perspiration also on the back of her neck whenever she used to suffer from the episode of migraine. So she used to have perspiration as well as she was a very chilly patient. Because she was aggravated by cold, etc. When I went in the case further, I'll just share you the case, how to you need to go further in a case. So when you deal with this generals, when you're done with the physical generals, you ask them thirst, perspiration, each and every factor about thirst. So you need to ask them the sensitivities, the side affinity which is affecting them, how the person is sensitive, whatever sensitivity he has to, like in this case it was sensitive. She was sensitive to noise. She was sensitive to light. She was sensitive to cold things. She was a chilly patient, and usually when she was in the warm room as well. So when you're done, you need to go for the mind and life situation. Remember, always you need to take the case on a complete level, that then only prescribe the remedy along with the totality of the symptoms. So usually when you talk with the patient, you need to build a trust. You need to build a rapport with the patient when you are dealing with the case. So for this time, for the case taking, I usually prefer that I'm talking to the patient alone, and usually I start conversing them with the what about their family, or to just to build the rapport. I usually talk to them about normal routine, normal lifestyle, and then when she, I'll just share again. Yeah. So whenever you talk about the patient, you need to they may you may have some expressive patients who are actually hypochondriac, or you may have indolent patients who are not, who doesn't answer you back. So I usually suspect how is the patient expressing himself, and accordingly I deal with the case then. So when she was asked about how is the expression of this her disease, or what is her intellect, or how is the memory of her, or what all morals does he follow?
Dr. Yashika,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
There
so
is some
sorry to
issue with the
interrupt
screen.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
For this annotations only. Actually, because you are sharing the screen, you have all the options. That's why I interrupted you. You have to do one thing. Just go in that
Yeah.
above that bar, na. Go into that more section where more is written,
I have done.
and just
I have
stop.
done more.
Yeah,
Allow.
more.
I am not. Yeah. To annotate. No. I've
Just
stopped it.
stop. Disable participants annotations.
I disabled, ma'am. I
Okay,
disabled.
okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's not going right now. I'll just share again.
Just stop share and start sharing again. It will happen.
Yeah, that is what I'm doing. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry for that.
So it's okay. It's okay. In fact, it's good. So when I went to the case further, I asked them about the case and her memory. You need to note each and every aspect when you're dealing with the case. The willpower of the patient, their memory. These are some of the questions which you need to ask when you build the rapport with the patient. After that, how confident he or she is, or if something bad happens, or if something wrong happens to the person, how does he deal with the situation, what is his feeling actually. One should note the feeling, what the patient is actually feeling when he is in a bad situation. So create some questions you need to ask them, so that you can know actually the patient better. This is just to know the patient better, so that you can prescribe the remedy as accordingly. How is the nature of the patient? Does he get angry easily, or is a mild person? He is yielding, or he has a weeping tendency, or whether he is fearful, whether there is any apprehension, or whether there is any indifference in the patient. So you should note all together all of the things when you are dealing, and you can ask them a question like, how do you express your anger in front of everyone, or how do you express yourself, if you are angry, what do you do? Whether you try, whether you feel to be alone at home, whether you feel to be alone, or you want to talk to somebody, whether consolation aggravates or consolation moderates. So you need not ask the patient direct leading questions, but you create a story to the patient, that how when such things happen, or when a bad thing happen, or when a good thing happen, how is that person's reaction, what is that person's feeling. So you must note such things, and then further you can ask about or more features. So when I was dealing with the case, I just asked them about asked her about childhood, about her family, about her lifestyle, about her husband, about her children's. So children, she was having a child. So I asked her how was her childhood and teenage. So she told me that she was a very happy go lucky, a workaholic person, and she was one of the favorite child of parents. She's very easygoing, very pleasant girl. Used to be very pleasant girl, and usually used to tolerate all things. And was a serious kind of a person when she was dealing with her with the with any situations in school or any or college or at her family. But usually she is a very dependable person. She used to be dependable, and she used to get depressed early nowadays when there was things which happening when she was evolving through her life. So she is now becoming depressed and dependable on others. She has been always dependable on others. She has a very sort of dependability on her parents before marriage, and now on her husband as well. So when I further inquired, she said she's having a very yielding disposition. She used to do whatever she was told. Like she's asked to work for this or whatever her mother-in-law used to say, or whenever whatever her husband used to say, or whatever was being given to her, she's very yielding disposition and used to help everybody out. She was very gentle, but there was a history. Usually whenever they have a fight with her husband, or the husband is at strain, or very arguments are there, and her husband tried to convince her, and during convincing he used to abuse her, as well as she was like he used to dominate her, and she was totally dependent on him. So she doesn't used to say anything, and she was creating inside some of the harsh feelings, or you can say some bad feelings were there because of such conditions which were prevailing since few years after her marriage. So so the thing was she was creating and sort of indifference to even her husband, to even her children. She used to beat her children whenever child asked her to do something, or to guide her, or whatever. He used to be stubborn and ask something, so used to shout on other people. And she used to have such indifference. She has generated such indifference since few years, since few months. So she was explaining about her husband, her family, so she started crying when she was explaining all things about her family and situations. So I further inquired why is this all happening, and what is actually your status, mind status. So she said that because of this dependability on her family and everything, she's becoming very less self confident. She's very she's become unconfident since few months. And usually finish off her frustration, she used to talk to her. So so when I was dealing with the case, so I asked her more about the about herself. So she said when she was irritated, or whenever she had problems, so she used to talk to her mother an hour or more for every day. And she's not able to get off the phone, and usually continue to talk to her mother. And usually her anger, resentment was there with her mother as well, with her parents as well, with her in-laws as well, with the husband as well, and the children as well as since she has got married for so many years. The starting it was fine, but then slowly things became bad, and she has developed such things in her mind. So she also said that now she feels that her husband, with her relationship with her husband, is also very stressful, very tensed. Is there tension is there? There are very much arguments with the there are very arguments which occur between them, and usually her husband tries to dominate, tries to convince her, always. And her feeling, he used to say that her feelings are not valid. She's faking off the love, and now things are becoming bad, and she feels that I don't think myself as a very happy person now. So that was the feeling which happened since long with her. Whenever she's criticized, whenever she used to be abused, she used to feel depressed. She used to feel irritated. And usually take things to her heart. She was taking things to personal level. And now whenever she feel angry, she doesn't express it, but she'll go and cry for several days. She'll keep on lingering on such topics, and she was always very low at her mood, because whenever an incident or bad incident happens, or there is some fight, or there is some abuse or criticism against her. So now she also said that now she also hates seeing movies or seeing sad movies, because she does not want things to be emotionally manipulated. She was just tired of things where people try to dominate her, people try to manipulate her. So this was the life space investigation, and she was suffering since long because of these things whenever after her marriage happened. And now since 4 years, around her marriage was around 4.5 years, she told. Then since 4 years, the things are getting worse and worse, and now since a year they have gone to the worst level. So that was her presentation. So now I want to ask everybody that whatever you have noted the case, what all features do you feel, what are totality do you feel actually is the marked symptoms of the PQRS symptoms of the patient, or the most characteristic symptoms? So I want to ask everybody that to share your views in the chat box, whatever remedy you feel, whatever marked features that is coming to your mind. So tell me what all things you feel that please comment nux vomica, it's sepia, pulsatilla. I getting, please take a totality if possible, whatever symptoms you remember and you feel these are symptoms which belong to nux vomica, which belong to sepia, which belong to pulsatilla. Yes, pulsatilla is one of the great remedy which can suit here. And any more suggestions? Low self-esteem from Dr. Gauri, yes. Low self-confidence. Indifference nature, Dr. Siali, yes. Indifference to loved ones, yes. This is a marked features of CPR. Natramur after her marriage, this is happening again. A very good remedy. And CPR, why calcarea ka? Please, due to sweat. Sweat was only due during the migraine episode, and that was on the back. There was no offensiveness, nothing nothing characteristic of the sweat. Sensitive nature, so it may be plant. Yes, it may be plant. Any other suggestions? Plant, which remedy in plant kingdom? Low over sound, overthinking from Dr. Naman. Weeping while telling her complaints. Very good, Dr. Mantasha. Very good. Very nice thing. Dr. Nishikant, along with her headache, there is watering from eyes as a concomitant. Very good feature. Angry resentment, Rahul Mishra, sir. Yes. She may be. Please comment with the remedy as well. Have been very good suggestions. Gastritis is there, headache is there, anger is there, not satisfied. What is the remedy, Dr. Swati? You feel? CPR indifference to yielding silesia, very marked feature in silesia. I too had some features for this Sepia, Silesia, Nux vomica, Pulsatilla. Why sepia? Please no. Please type in the chat box. Plant, definitely plant. How come plant kingdom? Sensitive level of the migraine headache, or sensitive level at her heart. Sepia. Periodicity is there. Headache is there. Daily routine is there. In headache. Calcaria, carb, sweat. Any other symptoms? Sepia. So now we'll study what all rubrics I selected. I took all the main rubrics, generals, etc. So what all rubrics I took was, see, mind was in the mind section. I took the rubric of abusive. She was abused by husband. She had ailments from being abused after being in marriage. She also had a pulsating pain, a throbbing type of pain in the occiput region, where which was worse on stooping. She had indifference to loved ones, for which phosphorus and CPR are very good remedies for indifference to loved ones. Then she was very much sensitive to noise. She had a weeping tendency while telling her complaints, while telling about her life. She had pain, she had congestion, she was worse from jar, she was worse from light, she was worse from motion, worse and amelioration by sleep. So all such rubrics were being taken at the mental level, at the physical level, as well as the generals. So she was also having an empty feeling in the stomach. Her smells was very acute. She also had aggravation from the smell of food, occipital region, mental exertion, aggravation, perspiration was there, thinking aggravation. So on whole repertorial analysis, what all remedies I got was, you can have a look on this. I will share the. So when these were the main remedies which came out: Sepia, Nux vomica, Silesia, Natramur, all suggestions which came. Ignatia cannot be there because it was a chronic complaint and it was going on since long. Phosphorus was also a very marked remedy here, and Bryonia. So when I was differentiating all these remedies, so I excluded Nux vomica, because when you talk about Nux vomica patient, she was not a Nux vomica patient. She was not at all that level of contradiction, not bearing contradiction, very though an Nux vomica patient is again oversensitive to all impressions, all sort of impressions, but then she was not such patient, such person. Used to fight back, she used to be angry, she used to revert back whenever she was contradicted. When you talk about Silesia, I was very much confused with Silesia and Sepia. So because there was sweat, because there was these ailments, uh, there was mildness in her nature, and she was very much sensitive. That weeping tendency was there, and she was very sweet, cheerful person before in her lifestyle, but now she has become very much indifferent. So yes, Silesia was being excluded because many of the modalities now was not being covered by Silesia, and Sepia was having the stomach emptiness feeling also. So I excluded Silesia because of this, and the main reason was the occiput was being affected, and the pain was not coming in the form which is being described in Silesia, like the pain from the occiput comes over and settles over the right eye, and there is pain in the right eye region. So Silesia was excluded. The Natramur again was because of the chronic effects of things, and she was being suppressed. She was being becoming after marriage. She had such bad things, such bad lifestyle. So she was being affected, and headache was there. So Natramur was one of the remedy to be thought. And then phosphorus was also a marked remedy, which was being thought because of that mild nature and yielding disposition. Pulsatilla was also being noted because of her weeping tendency. Many of the things were being noted. Pulsatilla can also, but her thirst was normal, not decreased. So Pulsatilla was again excluded. And Phosphorus was excluded because she was a chilly patient. She was not a hot patient. Usually Phosphorus, when you talk, they are hot patients. So that was excluded. So the prescription was prescription given was CPR 33 doses in one day. I gave her CPR 30 in 15 minutes gap 3 times. Three doses was being given. Now the question arises why I chose CPR. So I'll explain you why I chose CPR. I studied CPR from different of the books when I was dealing with the case, and I noted many of the features and comparisons also with all the remedies, which we'll discuss now. So when you talk about Dr. Borek, he said that there is stinging pain, there is nausea, there is vomiting, there is headache in CPR. And there is worse in the indoors. Whenever she was in the warm room, that was worse. She used to become worse, and usually the pain comes from the occiput and within outward, mostly to the left side. This is what Dr. Boric said. When you talk about KENS, all sorts of headache is there in CPR. Like congestive headache was there in the patient, and the head was involved. From the occiput, the pain was, she was having a heavy feeling that led her to dizziness, etc. So the Ken says that it particularly affects this occiput. She's worse in the morning, and she's also relieved by sweat. When there is an episode of sweat during the headache, she was having if you are if there is throbbing pain, Dr. Ken said you can choose CPR. Sanguinaria is also one of the similar remedy, but which is usually better after she vomits or after she sweats or there is excretion from the body. So but usually the direction is different, and she is like in sanguinaria there is right sided headache, the American sick headache. So usually when you think, so Kent has said ki this can be thought of when you talk. Dr. Clark also says that it is very much useful in fits of headache, nausea, vomiting is there, boring pain is there, every morning headache is there, Dr. Clark has mentioned. And there is aggravation from motion, there is moderation by rest or external pressure, or there is after sleep. So you can all these symptoms which came which was covered by Stallworth. So I read about it. Nash also has said the pain come in jerks, the pain coming terrific shocks. And Phatak also mentions that there is shuddering of the pain, alternating sides in the occiput. There is shooting pain, which is better by pressure, which is better by tight bandage. So all these features was there. Then I compared the remedy. Dr. Vitulkar sir has in this book has mentioned about the comparison when he was writing CPR. So I have just taken this excerpt from Dr. Vitulkar's book. He has mentioned that belladonna is again similar to CPR when you talk about hemicrania or you're talking about headache or pain. But in belladonna there is violent pain, and there is throbbing in the carotids. There is the face is red, and they cannot tolerate that noise, light, etc. But when you talk about belladonna, it is usually indicated uh, in in plethoric patients who are full of fluids, plethora, who are bloody, who are sanguine temperaments people, not in the cachectic personalities of like in CPR. The patient, when you talk about CPR, that the patient is more toward cachexia, weakness, when you talk about CPR. So this was differentiated because belladonna was excluded because of this feature. And then when you talk about sanguinaria, again, it's a right-sided headache. When you compare it with CPR, the sanguinaria, the pains are usually on the right side. And when you talk about CPR, they may occur on the either side. They may occur on the left side also, and they may occur on the right side also. In this case, this was also being noted that right side or left side may also be affected at any moment. And iris versicolor again is a very good remedy. So usually in iris it is being said that the paroxysm or this blurring of sight is there, but the region which is affected is infraorbital region. Infraorbital region, the dental nerves are affected. When you talk about iris versicolor, the pain comes from the head to the face as well. The face also is paining and such headache occurs. Pulsatilla was excluded first of all because of the thirst level, as well as usually it's a very similar remedy to sepia. When you talk about pulsatilla, the sweeping disposition was there, but when you talk about sepia, the pains reoccur, and there is increase of heat in the head. The blurring of sight is there. The eyelids become heavy. There is headache. There is dizziness, and usually the patient's face is yellow. The patient face is sallow complexion is there in sepia. But when you talk about pulsatilla patient, the patient is usually pale. The patient is usually pale. So that was being excluded. The pulsatilla patient again has a thickly furred tongue. The tongue here was white, and there was pulsatilla. Pulsatilla has maximum sorts of vomiting, and there is relief from only cold air. While this patient was a chilly patient, and he was aggravated by the change of weather. So pulsatilla was again excluded as per the comparison of Dr. Vitulka's. Then Nux vomica is also Nux vomica was also thought because it was the second remedy which was coming in the repertorization. So Nux vomica is more suited to men actually, and this was a female patient. And when usually you talk about sepia, the CPR's sepia has the history of exciting cause of brain fatigue or some abdominal issues and other things. But when you talk about nux vomica, the pain is such that the head would tear into pieces. While in sepia, when you talk about the attack, uh, there is a throbbing sensation. It is not like the pain would dash into pieces. Arsenic album, theridion are also very good remedies for headache when you compare with sepia. But again, the theridion has an effect of noise which is very much intense. The patient of sepia cannot bear noise, obviously, but that intensity of not at all bearing the noise is in theridion because of its source, again, doctrine of signature. So this was also excluded. Arsenic album, again, there was not much prostration or restlessness marked in the patient, so that was excluded. So now, what was the follow up after she was given sepia 32 doses? The duration on pain intensity of each migraine reduced in around 2 weeks, and then compared to the earlier times, now she used to suffer from headache, but then on alternate days, that was the frequency. Then it became two in between 2 days. When she came to me after a month, she said that complaints have reduced by 20%. The intensity of pain is also reduced, but then there is still a bad aching thing in the shoulders or support many a times. Frequency has decreased, but since a week she was not feeling good. But for the first 2.5 weeks, she was feeling much happy and confident because the frequency decreased and she was feeling better. The energy also became better. But since a week, like the 4th week, she was not feeling good, and the episodes were started again. So the frequency was increasing now. Increasing for not each day she was suffering, but then the first 3 weeks had been great, but now she was having some problems. So it's being mentioned in the organon of medicine source books that whenever the patient comes to a status quo, there is a status quo in the case and the patient is not getting relieved, so you can increase the potency. So what I did in this case was I just increased her potency, and I gave her a single dose of sepia 200 after a month. It was repeated once, and now after 2 months she said her pain, and when she reported to me after 2 months, she said that pain and intensity along with the episodes have reduced by 75%. She rarely suffers in a week with any episode, and now she is not taking any allopathic medications. During the episode also, she just switched off the lights and she was resting, so she became some got better, and the daily mornings are not now exhausted. She was not exhausted now, and she was now happy during the day and cheerful also. So when she was continued the placebo, and she used to report me how was her condition. So now the patient's migraine attacks came to very less. It came to very less after in 4-5 months only. And then after 6 to 8 months, she said ki she is not having any more episode, and now she's not prescribed any medicine since past 10 months, and she's feeling better. She have no episode of migraine since 4-5 months, and she's very happy right now. And also my friends and with the family shouting at children was also became better. So I hope I made this case, and you each one of got the case how the remedy was being solved. I would like to request you to ask me queries if you have any queries, so that we can have a query session, whatever doubts you have. Over to you, Yamini ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yashika. It was wonderful. Very nice case.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sorry if I could not deliver something good because I'm not well today.
No,
So
no,
I
you
didn't.
did very well. In spite of being not well, you did really nice. Thank you so much. We are very happy.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, and I
Please
hope
have
guys
a
you have enjoyed. And please ask if you have any question. Dr. Yashika is still here. She would answer if
Hello.
you have any query.
Hello. Hello, ma'am. The clinical features you told about migraine were very much similar to hydrocephalus in late childhood. Headache, nausea, vomiting, irritability. So how should we differentiate between hydrocephalus and migraine?
Ma'am, you're not audible. Can you please type in the chat box what your question is?
Yeah, please try to type your question, because sometimes due to the audio problems, we are not able to hear. And also, there is one question from Dr. Naman, which you can take, Dr. Yashika, that when to use 10M potency in this.
So I usually try when I'm dealing with the patients, I usually try prescribing minimum dose to the patient rather than going to the high potency and uh, uh, direct 10M dose. See, if you guys are while dealing with the case, if you are damn sure about the remedy and you think the patient requires a high potency as per his susceptibility, as per the response of the patient, so you can use 10M potency if you know that it is the exact similar amount it will need to the patient. Otherwise, try to keep the dose as minimum as required. So I usually try to begin the case with 6 potency or 30 potency, whatever the patient requires, because the homeopathic aggravation, when you will see when you prescribe in the low potency the medicine, so you will see a less of homeopathic aggravation. But if you prescribe, though it's a similar remedy, the exact remedy, when you prescribe in 10M, that may create a homeopathic aggravation which patient may feel that he's having more complaints. So in order to build the trust of the patient, try to use minimum potency. But when you are sure about the exact remedy, when you're sure about the susceptibility, when you're sure about the patient that he'll respond to a high potency better than the low potency, and there the case is not in the advanced pathological state, so yes, you can go for 1M or 10M potency. Then in fact 50M also if you want to use. But then you should be damn sure about your prescription when you are prescribing a high potency. That is what I feel. But and wherever, in which case the low potency is suffice, so please prescribe low potency whenever you're feeling. Otherwise, if you think the patient need repetition, the patient need high potency, use LM potency. LM potency give great results, repeated doses in prescription. I have also used in many of the cases of renal stone, in fact headaches also, or PCOD also. I have seen LM potencies wonders. So if you want to use high potency, you can go for LM potency as well. That can be used repeatedly, as well as it won't create homeopathic aggravation too. And the similar remedy can help a lot. Any other questions?
Yeah, so so Monica was asking that the clinical features of migraine are very much similar to hydrocephalus in late childhood. So how to differentiate between them?
So how to differentiate? Usually when you talk how to differentiate between hydrocephalus and migraine, usually when you talk about this feature, so you will differentiate it easily, in fact, because in the history you will get to know that a patient is suffering from hydrocephalus. And you can go for investigations, I would say. You can go for CT, you can go for other features, because clinical features you will get obviously same when you're talking about late childhood. They may have similar features. Pain in head would be there, pain in occiput would be there, and there may be nausea. Patient may be suffering from food anxiety problems, and many things. But then you need to go for investigations at that moment. You can go for CT, MRI, and you need to investigate about the history of the child from the parents, whatever was her birth history, whatever was the ANC history, antenatal history. And then you can easily differentiate whether it's a case of migraine, whether it's a case of tension headache, whether it's a case of cluster headache, or it's a case of hydrocephalus.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, okay.
Any other questions, ma'am?
How to differentiate from tension headache?
How to differentiate from tension headache? You will get a history in that. When you talk about tension headache, I already cleared it in my presentation. I will show you the slide again. When you talk about tension headache, usually the patient will have a stressful feeling in the whole head. When you talk about tension headache, that stressful headache would be there. There may be band-like sensation. Tension headache usually doesn't, in maximum cases, what you will find, you won't find that aura of migraine. You won't find that vomiting feeling of things in tension headache. The patient would have more stressful life, more stress history would be there. And there may be band-like sensation in the head, forehead may be there, as if there's bursting. Usually when you talk about migraine, you will have a side affinity. Mainly in the migraine, you'll have a side affinity. The patient is prone to one side affections. Like in cluster headache also, when you talk, cluster headache is also a single, affects the single side of the head. And when you differentiate between migraine and cluster headache, there is the differentiation is between the periodicity. When you talk about cluster headache, because cluster headache happens at the same time, at the same moment, at the same, like it's happening on the third day of every month. So it will happen on the third day of the next month as well, and the third day of next month as well. That periodicity is there in cluster headache. While in migraine, you'll see there is aura, nausea, vomiting along. So yes, you can differentiate between this. We have a comment from Dr. Nishant. I welcome him as well. Sir is saying he also wants to share his experience of his migraine clinic. Yeah, he has wonderful cases of migraine being solved. So I have to leave the meeting in between. He also wants to share a case. Can you please help ma'am, Dr. Yamini? Dr. Nishant Daryani sir is there with us. He's having a great experience in migraine at his clinic.
Sure. We will talk to him, and we will try to do something with him as well for migraine specifically. Dr. Nishant, most welcome, and please message me. Either message me or or you message on Homeopathy Junction. We'll get back to you. Thanks so much. Thank you. And also one question is there, Dr. Yashika. Shelja is asking, did you give any intercurrent remedies?
Did I use in this case or
Yes, in
otherwise?
this case.
No, in this case, I didn't use any intercurrent remedy. I use whenever the patient is, see, whenever you're dealing with the case and when you practice, you gain it with experience that when to use intercurrents, when to use, when to increase the potency, when to repeat the same potency when you're dealing with cases regularly. So you'll get to know these things. But for intercurrents, I would say, usually I use intercurrents. Like in skin cases also, I have used whenever the patient is not responding to the minimum remedy, I go for intercurrent remedy in between. Like if the patient, I would say, for example, there was a patient I was dealing with. Having problems in her throat. There was, she was having some, not actually coarse postulates, she was suffering from sarcoidosis. So she was not responding to the remedy. I prescribed her similar remedy as per her symptoms, as per cough, as per cold, as per her uh, sensation. There was sensation in the throat, there was feeling of something there in the chest, there was some feeling. So she was not responding to the remedy. I prescribed her similar remedy. Phytolacca was given. She was even prescribed Merc-Sol, but she was not responding to the remedy. So what I used was I gave her a dose of Cipilinum, one dose in between as an intercurrent, and after a week, I gave her Merc-Sol again, and she responded very well. Similarly, in many cases of bacterial infection, fungal infection, I've used tuberculinum, bacillinum as intercurrents. So you can use when the patient is not responding to the similar remedy, you can go for intercurrent. But in this case, I didn't use intercurrent. CPR 200 was enough, and she felt good after CPR 200, and she was not required any more medicine. See, I have a suggestion. See, I have an answer to that question also from Dr. Hitarth. He's answering that hydrocephalus intensity of headache is much more when you compare with the migraine. So yes, when you see a child, when you see a patient of hydrocephalus in children in late childhood, so you can note the intensity of headache. Dr. Hitarth has answered about it as well.
Yes.
Ma'am, any other questions?
Yes, I guess that's all. And of course, yeah, one more question, Dr. Yashika. Scope of LM potency.
So scope of LM potency. LM potency is again a very big topic, and I have seen in many of the webinars which is happening that people also want to learn about LM potency much. See, my experience with LM potency is being great. Migraine cases also have great results when you use LM potency. Whenever the patient is requiring a high potency and you feel the patient need repetition, and you'd want to ignore homeopathic aggravation at that moment, so go for LM potency. I've started the cases with 0/1 also, and directly by 0/5 also. I've got good results. You can repeat the remedy. There is a lot of scope, I would say. LM potency is actually a boon to homeopathy again, which master gave us uh, during the end of his life. So it's actually great to use. You can use LM potency, but you need to study before about LM potency, all the things, and when to prescribe, when you can deal with it better. That needs again a session. I request, in fact, Dr. Yamini to arrange some sessions on LM potency by speakers who are actually having good results with LM potency. So if you want any other question to be asked, or whatever about LM potency, how to prescribe, yeah, you can ask. You could also give LM potency in this case which I discussed, because this was also the patient was also requiring also could require LM potency, but then during the case taking, I thought that 30 would be better. But yes, LM potency would also have given good results maybe. And maybe earlier results, she felt better in a month or and 2 months. She could feel better in 15 days only if I would have used LM potency, maybe. Obviously, if the remedy is similar, you go for LM potency. Ma'am, any other questions?
No, that's all, Dr. Yashika. Okay, thank you so much. It was a very wonderful and informative session, very appreciable. So thank you so much for your time. I know that you are not well and still you took up this.
No, no, it's okay. It's okay. I am just feeling that people would have got something to learn. That's it. Because of my low energy, I don't feel I don't want anybody to, like, they have attended this, so they must have got to learn something.
Definitely, definitely. They have learned for sure. And guys, if you have any question, you can a question, query, feedback, anything you want to tell us, you can write to us on Homeopathy Junction Insta handle. Also, you can write to Dr. Yashika on her email ID. You can ask questions. That's not a
I
problem.
have, yeah,
Yeah,
I
she has
typed my
written.
email ID in the chat box.
Yes, it's dryashikaarora@gmail.com. So, doctor, you should spell doctor, DOCTOR. That's the spelling. And then yashikaarora@gmail.com. So, you can write to her, you can write to me on rjyamini@gmail.com. You can also write on Insta handle and Facebook. Thank you so much for attending the session. I hope you have enjoyed. And I express my heartfelt gratitude to you and to the speaker also. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Yashika.
so much, ma'am, for such a wonderful opportunity. It was great to be with you guys on this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Same here.